Prime Minister Scott Morrison looks set to announce financial assistance for firefighters in coming days as pressure builds from critics and colleagues alike. But the Rural Fire Service Commissioner maintains a possible pay deal could undermine the ethos of volunteering.
Breaking ranks with his Prime Minister, Darren Chester is publicly questioning how sustainable it is to expect firefighters to keep volunteering with no end in sight.
Expecting them to take away all those weeks and months to be on the fire grounds side by side with state government employees who are being paid, I think in the longer term we need to have this conversation.
The Cabinet Minister says he's yet to raise his pay proposition with the Prime Minister, but is working on a policy paper to present in the new year. The Prime Minister earlier this week announced volunteers working in the public sector would receive a minimum of 4 weeks paid leave. But Darren Chester says the conversation now needs to turn to compensation.
I'm talking about not paying volunteers for every time they turn out. We're talking about when they get associated with long-term campaign events.
But the New South Wales RFS Commissioner has dug his heels in once again, telling Sky News measures are in place to ensure volunteers are taken care of.
The overwhelming message from volunteers, even those I caught up with on Christmas Day and over this period, is that they don't want to be paid to be volunteers. But what we've got to do is ensure that there's a safety net.
Anthony Albanese toured bushfire-affected areas of the south coast near Nowra, once again continuing his compensation campaign.
There's a range of measures could be done. There's consideration of tax arrangements. There's consideration of one-off payments. Leave arrangements could be made.
And seizing on Darren Chester's intervention.
He says it's not the government's policy, it's his own view, after talking to people in the community.
Following internal and external pressure, it looks like the government is preparing to move on the issue.
The Prime Minister is looking at this issue further on how we can provide targeted support in these extreme circumstances so that our volunteers get the support they need to keep volunteering.
An announcement is expected in the coming days, just in time for another heat wave and more dangerous fire conditions. The Defence Force will be providing more assistance with additional personnel to be deployed at all 14 incident control centres across the state. But just as the Morrison government tries to get on the front foot, the New South Wales State Emergency Services Minister David Elliott has declared he's jetting off to Europe, despite the backlash to Mr Morrison's Hawaiian vacation.
We'll certainly have the issues covered, and my access through to the government, through to the Minister and through to the Premier, I don't believe will be compromised in terms of the ongoing operation.
Stella Todorovic, Sky News, Sydney.